What's up guys, Wolfie here. Today I want to go over the Protection Warrior, which is a class that's become sort of like a meme over the course of the last few expansions, and I'm hoping this guide can prove to you that that's not the case. I've been playing Protection Warrior since I started the game back at the end of Burning Crusade, and a lot of people I see have been re-rolling off of Protection Warrior. And I believe that's because people are saying it's either weak or can't compete or that it's not even in the same league as other tanks. So I'm hoping that this guide can show you otherwise and maybe rally you guys out there that have re-rolled your Protection Warriors or haven't played Prot, have been thinking about making a Protection Warrior, and just have been swayed away from it by comments you've seen on forums or in trade chat or from a guildie who doesn't know better or something. So without further ado, I'm going to go over a few things about the Protection Warrior here, and hopefully that can inspire you. So the first thing I want to go over is the talents I'm using and why and which talents are good in which situations. Starting off with the 15 bracket here, we have Into the Fray, Punish, and Impending Victory. Pretty much always choosing Into the Fray here for the extra haste that you're always going to have. This comes off your enemies, allied pets from like hunters and whatnot, and just your melee groups in general. So you'll pretty much always take Into the Fray for any given situation. I haven't really used Punish too much. I haven't seen a reason to use Punish yet. And Impending Victory. Impending Victory you can use if you're just hitting 120, if you're just gearing this Protection Warrior. Like, I use it because I don't trust LFG groups, especially now when I don't have the gear to compensate. Impending Victory is a reliable heal, gives you 20% of your max health back. It's on a fairly short cooldown, but primarily you're going to want to take Into the Fray for that extra haste because haste is just too good to give up right now. For your level 30 tier, you have Crackling Thunder, Bounding Stride, and Safeguard. I pretty much am always using Bounding Stride here for the extra mobility. It's really nice to have mobility on Protection Warrior. Get you out of things, get you places quicker. If you have charge down for some reason, Bounding Stride is pretty much my go-to on this tier. Safeguard you can use on like Skittish Week for Mythic Plus and whatnot. That's going to help you mitigate some of the damage that your allies are going to take from loss of aggro and whatnot. But I always take Bounding Stride here. The extra radius on Thunderclap just doesn't feel that good. But that's personal preference. I just prefer Bounding Stride on this tier. Level 45, you have Best Serve Cold, Unstoppable Force, and Dragon Roar. Same thing as the tier before it. Best Serve Cold doesn't feel strong enough to take right now. Unstoppable Force is going to be important later when I talk about rotation, but basically that's Avatar having increased damage. It's going to increase the damage of your Thunderclap by 100% and reduce its cooldown by 50%. The only time you're not going to want to take this is for situations in like Mythic Plus where you're going to be kiting mobs and whatnot, and that's when you're going to take Dragon's Roar. It's going to allow you to kite mobs more effectively since they nerf the slow on Thunderclap. Dragon's Roar is going to give you a fairly short cooldown, reliable slow to help you kite mobs as a warrior. For your level 60 tier, you have Indomitable, Never Surrender, and Bolster. You pretty much always take Bolster here. Not pretty much, just always take Bolster. It's the best talent on the tier. That's going to make it so that your Last Stand's cooldown is reduced by 60 seconds, and it additionally causes you to block all melee attacks. So the timing on shield block is a little weird right now. So with the shorter cooldown on Last Stand, you're going to be able to pop Last Stand more often, and you won't have to pop shield block during this time because Last Stand is going to have you blocking all incoming attacks. Never Surrender I have never used. It just doesn't seem good. Indomitable, increase your max health by 10%. Never used that either. Didn't feel as effective as Bolster to me. I think Bolster is just too strong in this tier to give up right now. So always take Bolster for your 60 tier. At level 75, you have Menace, Rumbling Earth, and Stormbolt. Rumbling Earth is my go-to for like running dungeons and whatnot, because anytime you shockwave, you're pretty much always going to hit 3 targets anyway. Menace could be good if you need a reliable CC that's not going to have your mobs run off and pull other packs. Stormbolt could also be used here if you need just an extra stun to go with your shockwave for like keeping a single target CC'd or something. But I like to go Rumbling Earth for general purpose, just because reduced cooldown on shockwave is pretty good when you're running dungeons or whatnot. For your 90 tier, you have Booming Voice, Vengeance, and Devastator. I like Booming Voice because it's giving us a constant source of rage, and also it increases the damage you deal to affected targets by 15%. This goes really good with Unstoppable Force because you're going to be pairing your Demoralizing Shell and your avatar together every time they're up. And then with your Deafening Crash Azerite Trait, you're going to be extending the time on Demoralizing Shout by an extra 2 seconds each time you Thunderclap. You could use other talents here, but I would highly recommend using Booming Voice over the others. But that's, again, personal preference. On your 100 tier, you have Anger Management, Heavy Repercussions, and Ravager. I find that Anger Management is the only choice in this tier, with Shield Block being weird in BFA, and Ravager, I mean, if you want to meme it up, you can use Ravager. But Anger Management's the go-to here. Every 10 rage you spend reduces the remaining cooldown on Avatar, Last Stand, Shield Wall, and Demoralizing Shout by 1 second. So pretty much all of your main things as a Protection Warrior are going to have vastly reduced cooldowns from all the rage you're spending just from this talent here. I think this is the best talent in this tier, and take it every time. So this is pretty much your general purpose Protection Warrior tanking talent build. As far as Azerite traits go on the Protection Warrior, there's not too much to say other than make sure you have a piece with Deafening Crash on it, because Deafening Crash synergizes so well with our talents over here. Unstoppable Force and Booming Voice. Go back to this piece really quick. Deafening Crash has increased damage on your Thunderclap, as well as extending the duration of your Demoralizing Shot on affected targets by 2 seconds. You're pretty much going to be spamming Thunderclap during your avatar window, and that's going to give you a huge increase on your Demoralizing Shout uptime. Not only are you going to be doing more damage to those targets, but it's going to increase your survivability as well because of that Demoralizing Shout being on the target. Your other go-to Azerite traits are going to be obviously the Old Ear trait or Brace for Impact. I'm using the Old Ear trait, Archive of the Titans, right now. I feel like it's been pretty good after week 3, week 4 of stacking up, plus the recent buff to it. Brace for Impact is really solid too. Using Shield Slam increases your block by 290 and the damage of your Shield Slam by 358 for 9 seconds. Multiple applications of this effect may overlap, so you're not refreshing the duration of this with that, but you can stack it. Other than Brace for Impact, you're going to be looking for Iron Fortress pieces, which is also going to increase your block. Having more block is obviously better. But yeah, Brace for Impact, Old Ear trait, Archive of the Titans, and Deafening Crash. Deafening Crash being the most important. Those are your go-to Azerite traits. As long as you make sure you have a piece with Deafening Crash on it, you don't have too much to worry about. But Brace for Impact, Iron Fortress, also very good traits. Definitely seek those out. Okay, so now I want to talk a little bit about food buffs, flasks, and potions for the Protection Warrior. You're going to always be eating for strength. That's going to require you to switch into Arms or Fury spec before you eat, and then switch back to Protection after you get the strength food buff, because if you eat in Protection spec, then you're going to get stamina, and you definitely want strength over stamina. You're also going to be using Battle Potion of Strength and Flask of the Undertow also for the strength buffs. And that's because of our passive we have called Vanguard. That gives us a flat 35% stamina increase and our armor is increased by 45% of our strength. So not only are we getting added damage out of having more strength from our flask, potions, and food buff, we're also getting mitigation out of that. And the more mitigation we have, the better, obviously. Alright, now I'm going to go over a little bit of the Protection Warrior rotation and what you should be doing in which situations. You're going to keep Shield Slam on cooldown. Shield Slam can be reset by your Devastate, Thunderclap, and Revenge. Keep Thunderclap on cooldown. If you are the active tank, use Revenge only if it's free, and if you have nothing else to press, press Devastate. If you're not the active tank at the time, you can use Revenge to spend Rage so that your other abilities are coming off cooldown. Because of your anger management talent, all the rage you spend is going to be reducing the cooldowns on your other abilities. So I say you can throw in Revenge just to spend some of that rage for damage, because you won't be needing mitigation at the time if you're not currently the active tank. Otherwise, if you have the boss, only use Revenge if it's free. You're going to be using your rage on mitigation otherwise. You should be using Demoralizing Shout on cooldown. Especially using Booming Voice like I do. It generates a ton of rage for you, increases the damage you do to the target, and reduces the damage the target does to you. Also, it gets the 2 extra seconds on it from Thunderclap if you're running Deafening Crash, which you should be. Avatar should be cast with this. Avatar is going to increase the amount of damage you do. It's going to extend the amount of time on Demoralizing Shout whenever you Thunderclap. It's going to reduce the cooldown on your Thunderclap, so you can be spamming it. So basically, when you have Avatar up and Demoralizing Shout on the target, you should use Thunderclap, Shield Slam, Thunderclap, Shield Slam if it comes back up, or Revenge, Thunderclap. Pretty much every other ability is going to be Thunderclap, just to keep that uptime on Demoralizing Shout, and that's going to last all the way through your Avatar, and you're just going to have this ridiculous uptime on Demoralizing Shout, and that's going to be a huge portion of your mitigation as well as damage output on Protection Warrior. Now when it comes to mitigation, you're going to try to have a shield block up as much as possible, and I understand that with the timing on it, that's not the case all the time. I like to wait a second or two in between my shield blocks just to try to maximize the amount of time I'm actually mitigating damage and not just having it up while the boss is between swings or something, you know. During this time I'll usually use an Ignore Pain just to give myself that extra mitigation just in case I'm not having shield block up. But basically that's pretty much it for Protection Warrior. You're spending your rage, you're getting your cooldowns back up, you're keeping a mitigation up at all times. If you have a weird window where you don't have shield block, you can always use Last Stand, and that's because of your Bolster talent. Bolster reduces the cooldown on your Last Stand. It's also going to give you pretty much shield block while your Last Stand is up. You have a long shield block while your Last Stand is up, and during that time you need to make sure that you're not pressing shield block, because during your Last Stand with the Bolster talent you're blocking all incoming attacks, and that's what makes Bolster so good in my opinion, on top of that short cooldown, is that it's like a really long shield block that can give you some time for your other abilities to come back up. At the time of making this video, my guild is currently 1 of 8 mythic. Let's see how that's going.
Don't be a bitch.
3, 2, 1.
Alright, Ruin boosted, go.
1.
Not standing shit.
Alright, bro, you kicked the wrong one. I told you, I will kick the center, you kick the outside one.
I'll kick the one on the left.
I told you, I will always kick the center one, you kick the outside one.
2, 1.
So as far as Protection Warrior tanking goes, that's pretty much it. If you have any additional questions, you can leave them in the comments below. If you'd like to have like a more direct conversation about Protection Warrior tanking or just tanking in general, you can find us over on Twitch at twitch.tv/Wolfie3Stripes. I stream every night over there. If you'd like to see more videos like this, like the video, subscribe, tell me what you want to see in the comments, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.
You niggas jump out the fucking plane with no parachute. Born with a sick flow, still no Theraflu. Tired of this fake shit, who you know more thorough to? Claiming y'all real, guess I need more burials. To bury you rappers, fake gangster actors. Paint a mural with a 16, create a chapel. Ain't nothing sweet, this far